Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening for the December meeting of the Lebanon Board of Park Commissioners. Let it be shown that this evening all members are present with the exception of Lori Gross. And our first agenda item this evening is the election of the 2026 officers. And with Lori being absent today, I would recommend that we table that agenda item until the January meeting, if everyone is in agreement with that. Is that okay? Okay, all right. And then the next item on the agenda is the review of the minutes from the November 5th meeting. If everyone has had a chance to take a look at those meeting minutes, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Okay, motion passed. And then old business. We have Kevin Krulik here this evening to present an update on some projects for us. Good evening.
Thank you very much. Trust everyone had a great Thanksgiving holiday. And we are in the home stretch towards the end of the year, but still a lot of work going on. If I get my computer to wake up here we go. Pull up my notes here for project updates around the city. As I said, a lot still going on, even though the weather has turned a bit on us here. Fordyce Street, we essentially wrapped that up. The trail is all complete. There's one panel of sidewalk that we still have to get replaced, and we are now putting in a three-way stop at Fordyce and John Bart at the request of the school corporation to make that crossing a little more safe for the kiddos walking to the new Central Elementary. But essentially that project is complete. Looking at other road projects around the city that also involve trails, the Witt Road project is moving forward. We're still securely in the right-of-way acquisition phase of the project, and we will be probably through into the first quarter, definitely. Should be wrapping it up by late February. And that will complete that project, at least from a pre-construction standpoint, and we'll be gearing up for bidding in the summer, and construction may start in the fall, but probably most likely will be pushed off till the spring of 2027. The Noble Street project is a little further out than that. We're still in preliminary design mode on that, including the trail and improvements for a large speed table between Hot Pond and Admiral Longley Park. That one is obviously, though, not scheduled for construction until 2029 and 2030, so a ways out. Other more specific park projects, Stone Eater Bike Park. John Messenger and I had a good meeting with some people that have developed a new piece of software. It's actually an internet-based piece of software, so it's not like a phone app. It's definitely something you have to go to the internet. But it's an AI-based platform that tracks weather patterns and can automatically update trail conditions. The state of Indiana, the Hoosier Mountain Bike Association is using this to update trail conditions on several of their mountain bike trails. So we're considering that, or I should say John is considering that. It's a relatively low cost of entry. It's about $50 a month for the service. So it's something for us to consider. It might help streamline some of the social media work involved with updating trail status at the park. So we're looking at that. Last time we had a kind of brief discussion in some of the Q&A period about the users at the park, and I forwarded around a demographic report that showed some of the visitation we've seen. So I wanted to elaborate on that based on some conversations we had with Mr. Craig after the meeting. I wanted to dig into those demographics and tell you a little bit more about who is using the park. So there's a lot of data out there, but I'm kind of breaking it down into really 6 categories just for ease of understanding things. And I'm breaking it down into generational categories. So I'm breaking down into basically the generations we're dealing with right now, which is Gen Alpha, Gen Z, Millennials, Gen X, Baby Boomers, and then the silent and greatest generations to look at how and who is using the park. So in the last year, since the park has been open, we've had about 52,000 visitors. And across those demographic segments, it's kind of interesting because we really see about 20% from each generation, from Gen Alpha, Gen Z, Millennials, Gen X, and Baby Boomers, around 20%. The lowest one is Gen Z at 14%, and the highest user population is Gen Xers at about 22%, but they're all in that range. The only outlier then is the silent and greatest generation, which, keep in mind, those are people from 80 to 100 years old. There's only about 5% of our users are seeing that. So I think it's interesting. We were pleasantly surprised to see that we have a pretty even split across all generations. And not really that surprising to see that Gen Xers like myself are the ones that are probably using the park the most. So a little more information there for you on who's using the park. Other park projects that we're tracking now. We have the Old Street Garage Master Plan. Obviously, this is on the agenda for later in the evening to adopt a BOT resolution and move a request for proposals and qualifications forward for the delivery of that park. We're also working with some various consulting firms that may help us from an owner's representative standpoint in putting that project together and helping us to manage the construction and inspections of that park as it goes into those phases. We have also been given food and beverage money from City Council, and we have issued a request for quotes for demolition of the structures. Happy to report that that process is wrapped up on the 24th of November. Ray's Demolition was our lowest, most responsive and responsible bidder on that at $75,750. We felt really good about that price. We had allocated $100,000 for that work. So happy to see it come in about 25% underneath that. We're working through utility disconnections and working on getting their contracts finalized so they can begin that demolition work. This is all to sort of clear the site and get ready for the development of the park in the spring and summer months. The pickleball courts, one quick update there. We have engaged a contractor to install the gate that was requested on the east side of the Memorial Park courts. We have gates on both sides of the Admiral Longley courts, but we've heard from the public that an eastern gate would be helpful when people are going to retrieve errant shots that might go over the fence. So we're working on getting that contractor on site to complete that work. Admiral Longley Park Perimeter Path Phase 2. All contracts, notices to proceed have been issued. We held a pre-construction meeting yesterday morning. So everything is teed up and ready for that contractor to get started. We anticipate as the weather allows, they will start to do some small work associated with the project, mostly related to some of the storm sewer connections, and possibly looking at pouring some of the Frisbee golf pads, the tee boxes, if you will. So they are all teed up and ready to go. They have full release from us now to start the work. The bulk of the work really will happen in the spring, but you might see some minor work happening in the winter months as weather allows. Also in that area, the 312 Thompson Street building, the storage building renovations. Bid packages were published in November, early November, and they were due back to the city on the 24th. We had good responses there, at least below budgets. And happy to report that Monroe Construction was the lowest, most responsive and responsible bidder at $325,976. That includes all the alternates that we'd also thrown in there, like using standing seam metal roofing and installing privacy slatting on the fenced area. So I think we had budgeted about $385,000. So 325 was a pleasant number to see. We have a little bit of experience with Monroe Construction. This probably goes back 7 or 8 years. They built the restroom building in Memorial Park. So we'll be working with them again on that project. We have not given them notice to proceed. That will probably come later, mid-December, as we wrap up notices of awards and that other contract documentation before we would take it to that next step. And with that, that's really all the project updates I have. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions from anyone?
One on the demographics, 20%, across the board is pretty good.
Yeah.
Were the majority of the younger in the tournament? Is the tournament numbers in that 51,000?
Yes, that's everybody. So yeah, the tournament runs from, sixth graders or fifth graders through high school seniors, then plus parents and spectators that might have been there to watch. I don't have the ability to separate out that number. I'll see if we can't get some help from our consultants on separating out the day of the race and seeing what the numbers look like outside of that.
And not to bad, just if we're going to provide amenities and adjustments, if it is the older generation during the week and the younger during the tournaments, it might adjust how we do things with the park based on those numbers.
And I'm sure there will be. Obviously, that's a large event, the largest event the park has ever seen. It was a little bit of a rough event this year because if you remember that day, the weather was awful. So the spectators, the visitors were really down. And we have I think there's about 150 kids that race in that event, plus parents. So it's a significant day. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know that it necessarily throws the averages way off track. And we looked at the median ages of riders. I didn't include that in my report, but I want to say it was 39 years old was the median rider age across the year. So
following up on that, so like Memorial Park, we're constantly being requested for like benches and stuff as walking past. So it's kind of one of those, if during the day that 2 to whatever that noon to 3 crowd is the older and they're looking for maybe a bench resting, a bench here, that would definitely make us look into. The bike riders don't need it.
Yeah.
But the older generation that might be walking during the day, we might want to look into making those adjustments for that age group if they're the majority of the walkers during the week that we're looking for. So knowing the difference between whether the majority of the bikers are at the tournaments and the majority of the rest are the older groups walking, maybe we look into those adjustments based on what you find.
No, it's a very good idea. We'll look
I've
into
gone
that.
to the park several times just to see what's happening,
Sure.
at different times of day in the evening and such. And when I've seen bikers there, like usually there's more than one at a time, they come in pairs or a family or something. And it seems like the ones I've observed, when they finish, they kind of hang out a little bit over by their car, have a snack, have a drink, chill out a little bit, maybe talk about the ride, whatever. And I still have this vision that sometime it would be really nice to have some picnic tables. Some people might, take a lunch, or whatever. And
no, I think these are great comments, and exactly. We want to see, like any of our parks, right? You're continually improving and trying to serve the public, and whether those are benches or picnic tables, bike workstations. Those are all things that are sort of on our list that we ought to keep an eye on and try to continue to improve our offerings.
I've chatted with some of them just to see what they thought. And a lot of them will just say, well, I used to have to drive their car to such and such, different places. And now it's just so much closer. I only have to drive 15 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever. And so people seem to be that use that, are appreciative of it.
Yeah, it's really good to hear.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. If there's no other old business, then I think we'll have you stay right there and go into, you have a few agenda items under new business.
I do. So first thing on under new business is a resolution that we'd like you to consider. I mentioned this in my project report, but we are looking to deliver the West Side Park, the old street garage park, through a BOT program, which stands for Build, Operate, Transfer. So what we have before you tonight, in order to enter into those Build, Operate, Transfer agreements, the park board needs to adopt a BOT resolution. So what we have before you tonight is a resolution. I'm trying to read this into the record, or I'll summarize it into the record. Maybe that's best. But it's a resolution of the Park Board of Commissioners for the City of Lebanon, adopting the provisions of Indiana Code Title V, Article 23, taking certain actions related thereto. So this goes back to 2012 when there was an ordinance that established this board and set it up as the governing body for the Parks Department. So it's appropriate that because you are that governing body, that this board, not the city council, who has already adopted their own BOT resolution, also adopt a BOT resolution. So that governing legislation that was approved, ordinance 2012-10, established the Park Board of Commissioners and the Department of Public Parks and has jurisdictions over the Parks District. And the board is now considering provisions of Indiana Code 523, the BOT Act, to adopt provisions of the BOT Act resolution. And then it is the intent of the board that this resolution says that it would be the intent of the board that it would issue future requests for proposals and qualifications, those RFPQs that I mentioned, in accordance with the BOT Act to explore the development of construction, financing, operation, and or transfer of projects that meet the purposes of the park. So in order for this basically allows, this resolution would allow the parks director to make future recommendations for the board's consideration. And then under the rest of the resolution, what this says is that the park board hereby adopts provisions of the BOT Act. The park board hereby authorizes and directs the city engineer, myself, one, to issue RFPQs under the BOT Act to study the development, construction, financing, and or transfer of projects, and two, establish a committee for each RFPQ to formulate an opinion and make recommendations for consideration by the board for future future public hearings under the terms of the BOT Act. So we will be looking for a volunteer to help serve on a committee that would make the selection related to that park. And then this resolution further authorizes the president, which is Lori, and the secretary, which is Mrs. Galvin, to...
Actually, Jessica,
oh, is it? Okay.
until we do new officers next month, who knows? It'll
Thank you very
change.
much.
Yeah.
So whoever the president and the secretary would then be authorized to execute documents on behalf of the park board. So that's kind of in summary, that's what the resolution is. Again, it's adopting the provisions of the state's provided BOT Act.
Okay. You make it sound.
I try. I guess maybe a little bit of nuance on what is a BOT, what it is. I mean, it is what it says. It is, you're looking for, it's unlike, designing a project and taking it out to bid. In this process, what you're doing is you're putting out a request for qualifications and proposals for a team of people that would specialize in design, construction, financing, delivery, and operations of a facility, whatever facility you're trying to deliver. So this team you would choose a team based on their qualifications. Then you would go through a process with that team to fully design and vet the project. And at the end of that vetting period or the pre-construction period, they would then be providing to you a contract for the construction of the park. And that construction of the park would be a guaranteed maximum price. So again, they're taking on the risk of that project and basically saying, we will deliver that park for that price we guarantee. And there are provisions that would be in place in the contract if there were unforeseen things that came up. But if there are just general construction related issues, they are bearing the cost of that construction and guaranteeing the delivery of the park at the price that you've agreed to. Once you get to that point, you then are entering into a contract, which would be where the recommendations would come for this board to execute contracts. But you also have no risk at that point. You could walk away and say, no, we don't want to build the park. But if you do, you're entering into a contract with a team of designers, constructors, potentially financiers that will put the project together, deliver it for you on a guaranteed budget, on a schedule that they also guarantee. So that's really the benefit of the BOT process is you pick the team you want to work with. You're not bound by choosing the lowest price bidder. You are only bound by choosing the team you think is most qualified to deliver the park. And then the other real benefit I see is that it guarantees schedule and budget as you move forward. So that's the BOT process in a nutshell. And the resolution tonight is just this board saying we want to adopt those state-provided provisions in the code to go through BOT processes and use that for the development of any project you want, really.
So you're looking for a motion from the board this evening to approve moving forward with the BOT
Yes.
as this resolution outlines.
Exactly. So what we need tonight with this first action is a motion to approve this resolution as presented, or you could edit the resolution if needed. But generally speaking, this would be approval. This would be a motion to approve the resolution, a second, and a vote. And if that is approved, then we would go on in the agenda and I'll ask for authorization to issue our first RFPQ.
Questions from the board before we move forward?
There's more process. The first one's just to approve using the BOT process.
This is just
The next
yeah.
one's to approve the actual
Yeah,
park.
you're just adopting those provisions of Indiana Code 523 that sets up this delivery method process in the state of Indiana. So you're not taking any actions other than saying we're adopting the provisions of the state BOT legislation.
Other questions?
Make that motion.
Okay,
So moved, I guess.
okay. All right. Do we have a second?
She made the motion.
Yes, so
I'll
Karen made the motion.
I'll second.
Okay. All right. Very good.
Vote on it?
Yes, I forgot to do that earlier, didn't I? I did. All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carried. All right, thank you, Kevin, for that.
Thank you.
So then we need to move forward to the actual authorization, or is?
So yes, now that you
Okay.
have adopted the provisions of the BOT legislation, what we have for you tonight is we're asking for your authorization to issue our first RFPQ for the development and delivery of the West Side Park. Just so you can remember the park, I guess, that you've already, I guess, included into your park master plan. If I can share my screen here up there for you and for the public to consider. But just to refresh your memory, this is the West Side Park as it stands in your current park master plan. So this RFPQ is not to revisit anything that has already been decided and determined. It will include the actual design of construction documents and specifications to deliver this park. It will then include the qualifications needed to manage that construction and deliver that construction based on those final construction documents. But we're not revisiting the planning of the park. We're just looking for a team of design consultants and general contractors and potentially financiers. I say potentially, that will be something that we will flush out through the process where the city is paying for the park up front, or the city is financing it through a traditional bond method or some other method, or if the developer that can be part of the team would be bringing financing to the table. That's part of the process to decide the actual funding mechanism. So for tonight, we're just asking for your authorization to issue this RFPQ and begin the process. This will require us to make public notices and things of that nature. So we'll go through that entire process if we are authorized. But that's what this is for, is to issue and to provide us with an authorization to issue this request for proposals and qualifications. Generally speaking, I think a park development project will probably be led by contractors. And we've had a number of contractors reaching out to the city and the Parks Department asking about the development of this park. Rumors travel fast, I guess, when they find out we're considering these things. So they would bring on an engineer on their team. What's that? No, not starting over, at least not from all we've done so far is a master plan. So we still have to do all the nuts and bolts details, the construction documents, the specifications. I guarantee you V3 will be on one or multiple teams, but other teams may bring in different consultants to finish the project.
Other questions?
Assuming all the consultants are brought in for the budget.
Exactly. It's all part of the proposal will require them to provide budgets for that park, for the development of the park. And yeah, all of those fees, all the soft costs, if you will, everything involved with turnkeying a project from idea, concept plan, all the way to finished park and cutting the ribbon on the opening, that will all be done by the team that we select.
I know some of these dates don't fall well with our questions, deadlines, the anticipated procurement schedule. So you've got deadline for questions previous to the meeting, and then you've got addendums to responses previous to the next meeting that we have. Is there any way we can push those out so we can ask some of those questions publicly as well as send them in email forms?
Absolutely. Yeah, we could do that. There's really not any magic to that schedule, and we can edit and revise the schedule as we see fit. So this has not been published. Obviously, at this point, we're just asking for authorization. And so we can push that. The response isn't till, I think, January 23rd, but we could push out the question and answer period so that we can bring that back to you for consideration. I would say, though, generally a lot of those questions are for the committee that would be established. We would envision this body having a person on that committee. We would envision park staff. Most likely John would be on that committee. The mayor would be on that committee. I would probably be on that committee. There would probably one or two council members on the committee as well. So a lot of that process is more handled at that committee level, but there's nothing that says we can't bring those things back to you. I would say question and answers could be a little tedious for this forum, but there's nothing wrong with that.
You can keep us updated anyway, like you do on all projects.
Yeah, and it could be that I come back with an update of relatively more innocuous and simple Q&A that we've handled for you. And then maybe there's a list of, here are some items that we really do need your input on. We could do that as well.
Having a rep would be great on the committee. Yeah. All right.
This needs to be decided tonight. I'm just curious on what John's thought.
John's been involved since the beginning on this. I don't know if, obviously he's not here, so I don't want to speak for him, but I don't know if Billy or Taylor have any input.
I guess my only question is, that's how it's going to be, right?
Well, we're not asking them to reinvent
Okay, I'm just
this.
saying, these are the things that were agreed on that we're going to be in,
Right.
and your design team will design each.
Correct.
Agreed.
As you're all are probably aware, like the document you have is a concept plan. You couldn't build off of it. But it is taking that from 5,000 feet down to the details.
Exactly, that's what this is basic, what we're going to.
Absolutely.
Form, figures and all that stuff.
Yeah, all those things that are on there, bouldering walls, obstacle courses, mounds and play tunnels, picnic shelters, community tables, plazas, splash pads.
Your design team will use this.
Yes,
This all has to be in there.
this is the roadmap. This is This is the picture
That's all I need to know.
that they get to color in, right? These are the lines they get to color
And they'll
within.
tweak
but-
everything to be the way that everybody agrees on.
Exactly. So there will be a lot of detailed design. There will be a lot of decisions for that committee to make, you know, in terms of colors and material selections and things of that nature. But a budget would also be established, and the city council has established a budget of $10 million for the delivery of the park, which falls in line with the budget that V3 presented to you.
That
And,
answered my question.
and Billy, this board did present a lot of feedback to the people that were creating that as well. I think twice they were here, if I recall correctly.
I think so, at least twice, yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
And they presented, I think, at least twice to city council
Didn't
as
we have
well.
documentation or something of what people were?
Right. I think one of the neat things about the process was the amount of public input that went into this. They attended events like the farmer's market, like
Football game.
football games. They attended, I think it was actually the Lebanon football game, which had a huge local attendance countywide, obviously. They attended Mischief on Meridian. So there was a lot of input that went into this. There was a significant amount of online surveys that were also taken. We had really good responses to that. And all that interaction with the public is what they used to create the concept plan that's before you.
I would just say.
Maintenance.
Structures and, what
Features.
pad and the restrooms.
I think they're asking her to step up to the microphone so she can be heard if she's talking.
Absolutely, yeah.
I wondered what he was motioning for back there.
Jessica, if it answers your question, I think John would have more say and concern, like I said, with how that splash pad is going to be built, how it is going to be ran, how, what the playground, what the surface is going to be for the playground. I think his concerns would be more details of how certain things are going to be built within, which I think can be adjusted once we're further along in that project, would be my input on that.
No, I'm glad you said that, because that's exactly what the next phase of this will be. Your concept plan doesn't tell you what the surface is, doesn't tell you what splash pad equipment you're buying. That's what the next design process will take you through. And this is not a process where they go away and come back and say, this is the package, take it or leave it. It's a process where the committee and that team is sitting at the table and you're making decisions on what those materials are, what those pieces of equipment are, the manufacturers, the colors, the textures, all those things will go into that process to generate a set of construction documents. And you'll go through iterative pricing exercises with that team to make sure you're bringing a project in on budget and that they're willing to sign a guaranteed maximum price contract for.
I don't want to take us on a tangent, but something that just occurred to me. Is it during this process that we've been discussing that the things like security cameras are discussed, or is that a separate concept completely?
Totally part of this. There's even stuff that you'll see put into the RFPs or into the process that are, there are national standards for the design of park facilities to minimize vandalism, things like that. All of those decisions that you'll make on building a park will be built into this, which I think is also part of the attractive process here, is that they have to deliver that complete project. You're not just hiring someone to design one thing, and then after the fact, or we get into construction and we're saying, oh, we should have thought about security cameras, and we have to add
Part
an
of it.
extra to that.
Okay, so that's part of the budget and everything.
Exactly.
Okay, all right. Any other questions?
Or as a committee member from this board, is that being decided on tonight, or is that being decided on?
It can be. That's up to the board.
I'm just curious on where we're going from here with started and, yeah.
Right by it. Yeah, yeah. I'm going to suggest that we hold off until John's present to do that part because that's kind of a big part of him. So if any of you are interested, I would suggest you communicate to John, and then maybe if that has to go to the board for discussion, we can do that at the next meeting. Otherwise, it could just be an agreement with John about who serves in that capacity. Does that make sense?
You're referring to the selection of the committee member?
The rep
Yeah.
from the board.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. That makes sense.
Okay.
Looking at the schedule, since Brett, you brought that up. So we're looking at an issuance of today, or technically it would probably be in the morning. Deadline for questions by the 22nd. I think we're trying to get the questions in before Christmas. We're not going to really react to those, at least not formally, until after we get through the holidays. We had tentatively looked at a schedule of January 6th for an addenda. And I believe, let's see, when is your first meeting? In the 7th. So that's right. That's the day before. I think there's no reason why we couldn't say something to the effect of, maybe pushing that out to the 14th, and then maybe the response to this a week out further. So we have a week from your meeting to finalize addenda and issue addenda by the city by January 14th. And then looking at, we could look at pushing the due date to, maybe it's just a week later. And so it's the 30th, which is the week before your next meeting. So we'd have a chance to get those into your
works.
hands.
You think? Yeah. Great.
That sound okay? So before we issue this, we will move the addenda date to January 14th. And then the RFP due date of January 30th. So no problem with that. It gives everybody an extra week over the holidays. It's always an interesting time of year.
Great. Thanks for doing that. That helps. All right. If there are no further questions, then we would entertain a motion for moving forward with the authorization of the RFPQ issuance.
I make a motion, we approve.
Okay. Motion on the table?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Aye. And any opposed? All right, motion passed. Thank you. All right, then the meeting dates. Thank you, Kevin, very much for all that. We did have a few minutes to take a look at those meeting dates that were in our packet. You can take a look at those real quick. All of them are the first Wednesday of the month, with the exception of 4th of July. And we try to always work around that. The July has been moved to the 8th, so that would be the second Wednesday of July. And if you want to take a look at that list for just a moment and see if there are any others that are of concern to you. I think most of the other holidays are adjusted. Works out well. Anybody see any other concerns? Okay. Then I would entertain a motion to approve the meeting dates as presented. You gonna look at my copy? I'll papers tonight. Okay, Shirley made a motion to approve the meeting dates. Do we have a second? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Same sign. All right, motion carries. And then the director's report. I think Taylor's going to offer the director's report since John is unable to be here this evening. Thank you, Taylor.
Welcome. Good evening. Like Kevin said, I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. It went fast, and Christmas is right around the
Always.
corner. I'll try to keep it short. We're we're obviously very busy. We just got caught up from the snow. That was a lot very quickly, and I would say that everyone did a great job on delivering on that. Next, our restrooms in Memorial Park and Abner Longley Park are closed besides the one down by the baseball field. That one will remain open as it is heated. Our office staff is now in the process of starting our hiring process for 2026. So we're starting to send out rehire letters, and we will also start to release our open interviews dates, which typically we do a Saturday in January and a Saturday in February. And by March, we're usually fully staffed at that point and have our hiring done. So we're working on that currently to try to get staffed up for the summer. So programs and events that happened last month, we had with them out at our park to host the Veterans Drive-Through. They had kind of rainy weather, but they still had a great turnout. I believe this is their third or fourth year out at our park. Again, great program and a great turnout. We are working this week for our Christmas events this weekend. So we have the Christmas in the Cabin on Saturday from 9:30 to 12:30. Those came, the carriage rides come with that. Those are fully booked. We did those online this year. That was new. Typically, we take in-house phone calls for those, and we received many different comments on that. So we tried to offer that online this year to see if that would go any better. Still had a little bit of complaints on that. So hopefully next year we'll keep those online and see what kind of feedback we get from that. I think it was helpful just like because people could get in quicker than calling. But those are fully booked. We also have the Christmas parade that evening. That starts at 6 p.m. And that coincides with the downtown events that are happening on Saturday. So we'll start at the park and we'll make our way around the park, and we'll go down Meridian Street. We'll drop Santa off at the downtown square. He'll get off, and then we'll come back up East Street and end at the park. I do believe that this is probably going to be our largest parade. We probably have almost already 30 signed up, and we always have people show up the day of for that. We are very thankful. We've got LPD and the fire department who's helping with the safety of the parade this year, and so that's huge. We have all the alleys closed and the crossing intersections closed this year, so that'll help us with pedestrians and traffic and all the things. So we're very grateful for their help with that this year. So it's kind of a hands-on event for the whole city to make that parade happen. One thing that is new, we added it last year and we're continuing it with it this year, is instead of Santa picking a kid from the audience right then and there when Santa gets dropped off, we're doing a coloring contest. So we have coloring pages throughout the city, some on the square, here in the municipal building, here at our office. So they can come pick up a coloring page, get it submitted to us, and then we'll do a random drawing right before the Christmas parade kicks off and call that person and let them know to be ready. Just kind of helps with the crowd control and everything. We'll also have the coloring pages offered at our cabin as well. So if anyone's interested, or if you know any little kids that want to turn on the lights for the Christmas tree, have them enter their coloring page. Other than that, we're just busy to start the next year already. The only thing that I have is that I would like to request a motion to pay any remainder bills that come through the end of the year. I hope I don't have any, but typically we do see some. So I would just like a motion from you guys to get those bills paid for our 2025 budget.
Okay, in addition to the claims that we
Yes,
have
in
this
addition
evening
to
you're
what
talking
I've already
about.
submitted, sometimes we have last minute bills that come through that I would like to get through on our budget for 2025.
Okay. And I just wanted to comment that all the Christmas decorations just look beautiful.
Yeah,
Very, very
they
nice.
did a great job. A
Really,
great,
really
great
nice.
job.
I know it's a huge undertaking.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Luckily, they had some good weather on the front end of things to
Yes.
get a lot of that completed. Before it
Yes,
got
we had
nasty.
our Lily's Global Day of Service. They helped us a ton because they were able to check our lights for us. So we had a good jump start on that. So yes, the lights look beautiful as always. Yes.
Any questions for Taylor about the director's report? Anyone?
Do we need a motion? Pay the bills?
We do. We'll do two separate ones
Okay.
based on the one she just requested. We need a motion for paying the bills for
Yes,
the end of
please.
the year,
Yes,
and then we'll deal this with afterwards.
yes, yes. Any questions? I'm happy to answer any questions. I know that was fast, and I'm sure I didn't cover everything, but yeah, busy time. And we like to say it's our slow time, but it's not. It's not. It's a busy time, especially maybe once we get through this Christmas parade and our Christmas in the cabin. But yes, happy to answer any questions that anyone may have.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the remaining.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Do we have a second? Okay. And all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right. So you can move forward with that, Taylor.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. In fact, since we'll just go right into the consideration of claims. Everyone has had a chance to take a look at these and sign off on them. There aren't that many this time around. So if anyone would like to make a motion to approve the claims as presented, we can take care of that business as well.
I'll make that motion that we pay the claims as.
Thank you, Karen. And do we have a second? Thank you, Jessica. All in favor?
Aye.
And anyone opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. Since I had a faux pas at the beginning of the meeting when we were reviewing the minutes from November, we did have a motion by Shirley and a second by Karen, but I failed to ask for a vote. So if we could go back to that one regarding the minutes from November, all in favor, say aye. Anyone opposed, same sign. Now motion carries officially. Thank you. Sorry, I'm a little rusty on my order here. All right. Does anyone have any other business items they would like to bring up this evening that weren't included in the agenda? If not, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn our meeting.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And thank you all for joining us this evening and wish you all happy holidays and stay safe. Hopefully we'll have some good weather days between now and then, huh? All right. Good night.